Esther.
I'm Nick.
And we're Fouch-o-matic Off-Grid. And today we are celebrating 3 years of living on this property off the grid.
We're going to talk about a couple of things that have changed, mostly us, and just reminisce a little bit.
So first we're going to try and give you an idea of what it was like for us 3 years ago when we decided to move to this property.
We had shopped around not very much. We looked at maybe 5 or so other properties, something like that. And this one really had all the things we were looking for. So when it came time to move out here, we were pretty optimistic about all that it would provide for us.
There's 2 different versions of this story. Because I was optimistic in a very general sense, but in a specific sense, I was just holding a newborn. Sadie was born in October, and we bought the land in November, and Nick built the yurt. Over that winter, we were living with Nick's brother in his home, which is a very generous move to give us a kind of a landing spot to be, because our previous home had been 2,000 miles away across the country, and moving onto our land in the winter would have been even crazier than what we did end up doing, which was moving onto our land in mid-late April.
Yeah, but we had most everything ready that we absolutely needed. We had the yurt ready, we had the outhouse ready, and
That's important.
Yeah, sleeping and the other thing. And we had the chicken house ready because we knew we wanted to raise chickens right away. And we had cut down trees the month before, in March. A lot of trees were laying on the ground, and it was hard to get around, and it seemed like a great big mess, and it took us what seems like years. We're still cleaning up from that.
So when he says that he was optimistic that the land would provide everything that we needed, he may either be speaking only about himself, or there may be kind of a general sense of we were doing it anyway.
Yes, optimism, blind optimism.
Right,
I'll say.
right. Forcible optimism, force of will optimism. So I didn't have a lot of confidence on the moment we bought the property. My sister-in-law wanted to take a picture of me at the moment that we were signing the papers. I was like, no, don't take a picture of me. I look like death. I'm so terrified. This is not the moment to record.
It was tense.
I just had a baby, and we just spent all the money we have on this property. I don't know if this is the right choice. But
once we got here, and once we were, once spring came and we were able to spend some time out here, it really, it just felt right. It felt a lot like home.
The yurt went up so quickly and was such a beautiful, pleasant space. At that point, we just had the plywood floor, but already the walls were cute, and it felt like a nice space, felt like shelter, and spring in the mountains is just so beautiful. I mean, it felt like we were the luckiest people to be able to be in the mountains in May and have that be where we actually lived. So I definitely felt great that first couple months.
Absolutely. And then, the hard work came.
And then the hard work came.
The reason why we were doing so many things for ourselves initially was because we couldn't afford to just go and buy them. And the whole, even using as much reclaimed material as we do, it started as just purely cost savings. So, and it's turned into a big part of just how we get anything done. I was not hell-bent on being off the grid or just not having power. I didn't really feel that it was an all-or-nothing self-sufficiency model. We just got along for so long without bringing in power because of the expense. We sort of had just put it off. then at a certain point we just thought, well, let's just do without that. So out of necessity, we sort of came up with other ways to do things.
I mean, if we had $100,000, none of this would have happened. We would have just built a house. Right?
Probably so.
Yeah, I think we really were runaways. We just ran from some things that weren't working about our lives.
Right, so in a lot of ways, like Esther was saying, a lot of you may be radicalized, if you want to use that term. Now, you might be ready to do it, and everybody has their reason. We were not so much looking to go and do what we're doing now. We were running from things we knew we didn't want to do any longer. So we ended up here.
Some of my favorite things about our lifestyle change were the things that had to do with not having electricity. The water is a different issue, but not having electricity, and for those first 2 years we didn't have internet on the property, was a little scary in terms of communications. Our emergency plan was a little rough. I mean, we had our plan, but it was not an easily executed plan. But that was a chance for rest and empty space and reflection. And I think those were the moments that changed me the most. Whatever off the grid was turning out to be for us, it was something I wanted. There's a goal that I actually say frequently of taking things incrementally or in steps, trying to make your lifestyle change in steps, which of course is obviously not at all what we did. So right now, because we have the internet, we have communication with other folks, we're on YouTube hanging out with you guys, and there's a lot of community. Now is the middle ground. Whereas we swung to a pretty radical kind of survival situation.
But also, I'm really glad that we didn't plan ahead on some of that stuff, because what we would have planned would not have been what we needed.
Because we weren't very smart.
Well, we weren't, right. I think we were somewhat aware of our inexperience.
Right. So we were stupid, but we knew we were stupid.
Exactly.
So that's actually pretty smart.
Right. Self-awareness helps.
Something.
So we knew that whatever we came up with, even if we had the time and the money to just sort of solve all those problems instantly, I don't think that we had the experience to make good choices. I think I've changed some in 3 years. I mean, just the experience of being out here has changed me. Physically, somewhat. I mean, I feel healthier than when I had desk jobs, for sure. But also, I think I'm a little less goal-oriented, if that makes any sense. So, a little less in a hurry to be done, I guess, with any one thing. I still hurry and I still push hard, and I'm still pretty impatient in general. But the end is not the goal necessarily. We just want things to be the way we want them, and which is the only real measure of it being right is what we think is right for us and our situation, and I know there's no real reward for finishing early, I guess. it's just going to be ongoing, and just got to keep plugging away at it. Certainly don't put yourselves in danger, but everybody has a different threshold for that sort of thing. You should push yourself outside of your comfort zone. That's not the same thing as putting yourself in danger. And plan ahead. Plan ahead as far as you can possibly see. But don't kick yourself too bad if you got to get off of the plan. Go ahead and let yourself learn something from actually going out there and doing it. That's about it. Have some fun. It's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to be making a better life for yourself, so don't make it crappy in the process.
So that's our story of 3 years living in this crazy way that we live. Thanks so much for hanging out with us.
Thanks for watching thus far, and
on to year 4.
Here we go, 4.
No, I don't. You do it.
You're gonna knock yourself over.
Hi, everybody. I'm Esther.
I'm Nick.
And we're...
Yeah.
I don't have anything to say now. Okay.